Hey, men, it's all your fault. Don't you know that? Of course, I'm being sarcastic. But the rest of the media and the whole narrative they want to push, the overlords, whoever's running all this, right? Whoever's pushing us to try to accept falsehoods about who we are and what's going on. And basically, at the core of it, it's man bad, woman perfect, right? Case in point, this is episode 2, part 2 of covering the article, The Best Way to Help Women End the Male Loneliness Epidemic. Do you hear that? You're hurting them. Just like when you go off to defend our country and you don't come back, well, you're hurting the women. We hear all about how early 20th century, how women didn't have this and women didn't have that. Do you know how many men didn't come home from World War I and the later World War II? But it's all about the women and all that they were suffering. We never talk about the men. We never talk about how we dispose of them and use them. Well, I guess we do talk about the men. Because when the men are suffering, it's so selfish. How dare you? How dare you have a problem? I'm sure your problem is misogyny. Because isn't everything? Anyway, we're going to get into it. And the second part is worse. If you haven't seen the first part, it's okay. You can watch this one and then go back and watch the first part. It'll be fine. It's not like it's something you have to do in order. This one starts off with how baby boys are a problem. Yeah, can you believe that? There is no level too low for them to stoop. Anyway, welcome back to Far From Eden. I hate even reading this stuff out loud, saying the words, but we got to expose this for what it is. It's mental gymnastics to try to avoid the fact that men have problems and for the reasons that those problems exist. Male loneliness, we already said in episode 1 about where are the mothers? Oh, they're at work. Okay, well, this loneliness crisis correlates exactly with the fact that women are out of the home. That's weird. It also correlates exactly with the rise in divorce. But I'm sure those are just coincidences, right? Because those things would involve a woman. So that can't be true, right? Sugar and spice, all things nice. I mean, let's find out from these people what the real problem is, shall we? The pattern of behavior starts young. Baby boys' brains are biologically more immature and vulnerable than girls, making them less able to emotionally regulate, cry more often, and produce higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol when separated from their mothers. So it is saying that when boys are separated from their mothers, it's more difficult on them than it is when girls are separated from their mothers. So when mom's putting them in childcare, sending them off to school even, too distracted on her phone, these are all ways to abandon a child and betray him. It's a way to break a baby boy's heart and teach him he can't be vulnerable. It's not safe. So if they want to say it's hard for boys to open up or share, even with close people who are supposed to be close, well, the very first and most important close relationship is at work or on her phone or too busy or this, that, or the other. Because, we can't expect women to do all the childcare. We can't expect women to be the ones that, to serve their families. That's oppression. And the baby boys are left to figure it out. But though they have a greater need for comfort, what they tend to get is significantly less nurturing and positive attention than same-aged girls. The result? From an incredibly early age, quote, boys feel stuffed into a man box. Yeah, says Dr. Reichart. Forced to conform to narrow definitions of manhood that discourage openness and limit their emotional and social development. No, that doesn't make any sense. Because of this, they're forced? No, because of this, they're broken from the get-go. If a boy doesn't have that relationship with his mother, and that's where he learns it, this is how I understand emotions, etc. Like, that's very important when the boy's young, before he starts to get rough and tumble and stuff like that. And then it's time to, have more time with dad, because dad knows how to regulate all that, right? That's not happening because jobs are more important for the men and for the women. We were talking about in our Decline of the American Male series, the book that was written in 1958, that, men are just having to work, and put everything and all their loyalty into job and career. And it leaves very little left. It leaves the woman kind of in charge of the whole household, but she's working too. Who is raising the children? Think about you guys. Think about your very first relationship with a woman. It's the mom. That's where you learn how to open up and share and be vulnerable. Men need that safe space to do it, because out in the world, they have to be tough. We need men. They're strong. They can do oil rig and underwater welding and all the stuff that women can't do. And women are supposed to be doing the things that we can do. Don't get me wrong. I think we all have duties and responsibilities, and it's all just malfunctioning. Okay. So they're stuffed into a man box. This not only damages them materially, leading to higher rates of depression and, taking that final way out, ideation, plus drug and alcohol abuse, but can also push them towards ideologies that are harmful to women. Maybe the reality in the world is what is waking them up to the truth, and the overlords want to say it's harmful to women. How can men walking away be harmful? They're just saying, no, thank you. Literally. They're like, I'm out. I don't want to play anymore. Forget this. But, that's harmful to women. But women can say, end all men. That's fine. Don't know. That's just a joke. It's just funny. Fueled by the rise of smartphones and social media platforms and exacerbated by COVID lockdowns, young people's lives have increasingly moved from the real world to the digital one. And that is what the overlords want. They act like, it just happened. That's weird. It's designed. It's absolutely designed. Why? To pull us apart. Everybody, pull us all apart. That's what they've been doing forever. That's what jobs did. We used to all have agrarian lifestyles and mini farms and small communities. And men weren't just going off somewhere to work. Their work was at home with their family, growing crops, hunting, fishing. They weren't going to work for whoever, because there weren't factories. There weren't always factories. There weren't always corporations. And there weren't always big companies. But, some dudes came in. I don't know, what were their names? Rockefeller, Carnegie. Yeah, those guys. All of a sudden, there's companies. Okay, men, leave your families for part of the day. Go be at the company. Leave the wife in charge. I mean, what could go wrong? Equimundo research found that nearly 30% of the young men surveyed said they hadn't spent time with someone outside of their household in the past week, while nearly half, 48%, said their online lives were more engaging and rewarding than their offline ones. I mean, look at us. We have our community here. This is some of some of you, this is what only thing you have. And I'm glad you have this. And I'm going to keep going and creating this community and strengthening this community as long as there's breath in me. When disengaged young men spend more time on the internet, the chances of them being pushed towards content affiliated with the manosphere. Sorry, Lola is wanting attention. There's nothing now. Excuse me. Okay, she knows I'm fired up. She's kind of like, yes, okay. All right, manosphere. Affiliated with the manosphere and toxic hypermasculinity. Oh, we've got a new term. The Andrew Tates of the world, for example, become greater. I'm not convinced that he's not controlled opposition. To put a face to what we're doing. And we are not doing that. That is not who we are. That's not who Joker is. That's not who Alexander Grace is. That's not who Homath is. Not even a little bit. That's not even what the Whatever podcast is. Brian and Andrew on there. This is not Andrew Tate at all, but they want everyone to think that. We couldn't be farther from it. The massive monetization of the rhetoric for both influencers and the online platforms themselves almost guarantees that boys and young men looking for support get nudged down certain pathways, says Hayes. Yeah, pathways towards the truth. Holding certain people accountable and calling out what certain people on the other half of the population, how they're acting. And now with the internet, we have a way to do that. We're not just all sitting there watching, corporate media where they do this business. We're actually on here going, hey, and the people in the comments, when people come on here and when anybody criticizes or what have you, I'm like, have you read the comments? Do you have a heart? This is serious. This is serious crisis. And the best thing men can do is walk away because there are just some battles that they can't win. I think the women need to be out here battling for them. If we created a problem, then we need to fix it, or at least try. I mean, I can't, we're not going to turn back all of society, but we can wake certain people up, and I can certainly make sure the men know they're not alone, and this is not their fault. There's a funnel system whereby certain influencers or content creators are capitalizing on very innocuous searches that boys and young men are looking for information about, she tells me. These include romantic relationships and dating, physical appearance and fitness, wealth and financial advice, motivation and self-improvement. How dare you invest in yourself and improve yourself and take pride in yourselves? You're supposed to be thinking about women and how to serve them. Get it together. Of course, I lose my spot whenever I get very angry. Stop it. Okay. I'll find it. Bad actors are threading those topic areas with more harmful or extreme narratives around gender politics. It's laughable. It's not funny, but okay. A young man might go on YouTube and search how to get a date, and soon enough, he'll be served content that fuses this interest with gendered narratives, quote, that validate men's shame or frustration about why they're not able to get a date. Yeah. You shouldn't be validated about why you're not able to get a date, and we know what they're talking about. Your experiences with women and how they behave should never be validated. Goodness gracious, it's your fault. Men experiencing legitimate feelings of shame or frustration or vulnerability in their lives are fed the message that it's all because of women and feminism. I feel seen. A vicious cycle emerges. Boys and men are encouraged by society to perform an unhealthy masculinity that sees them withdraw emotionally from friends and family. Does it? I thought they didn't have friends. Weird. They feel lonely and go looking for connection and support online. They get, yes, because they're experiencing something. They see truth. You guys know what it is. It's not just the gender politics. It's when you wake up, right, and you earn your tinfoil hat, it's hard to connect to your family and friends who are still, believing the narrative. When you're like, you start asking questions about certain things in history. And, if we were told the truth and you start going down some rabbit holes, yeah, it's really hard to connect with friends and family. And some of them will actually push you away, is what I've experienced. Because you just become radicalized with the truth. They hate that we can find truth and reveal it to one another on the internet. That's why they censor us. They get purposefully shunted towards content that reinforces those damaging gender stereotypes and further isolates them from their peers, told that women are their inferiors and men their competition. Not that women are their inferiors, not at all. That's not what we're saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying men and women are different. We have different roles in society. But if you don't believe that men and women are basically interchangeable and all we have is just some different organs, then you're saying women are inferior. That's a trap to get you to go along. They don't want you to recognize God's perfect order. And if you're an atheist, they don't even want you to recognize, the natural order that women bear the babies and are, physically weaker and men are physically stronger and we have different ways of thinking. They don't want that. They want it to all be the same. Equality. Egalitarianism. Okay. A vicious cycle emerges. Boys and young men are encouraged by society to perform an unhealthy masculinity. Oh, did I already say that? I'm so sorry. Okay. There's a big cross-pollination in these spaces, claims Hayes, between misogynistic influencers and right-wing political messaging. Yeah, because truth kind of goes with truth. Both use the same playbook. Find boys in crisis. Build a community around a victim narrative. So funny that they say that you guys have a victim narrative. I don't know that it's you guys. I think it might be the other ones, the fairer ones. I'm trying to speak YouTube safe lingo. Oh my goodness. Find boys in crisis. Okay. Form a victim narrative and form a collective identity. Hayes points to the fact that soon to be vice, because this was last year in November, this article was written. Soon to be Vice President J.D. Vance announced his TikTok presence by partnering with the Nelk Boys, a duo of young Canadians whose brand is centered around hyper-masculine norms and frat boy humor. Don't you know you're supposed to act like women? Then you'd be better. Vance's first post on the social media site featured a 9-second video of him accepting a can of Nelk Boys hard seltzer from co-founder Kyle Forgeard. The collaboration was part of a $20 million U.S. voter registration initiative launched by Trump allies and aimed at courting young men. Many on the right have sought to associate manhood with politics. If you're a man in this country, quote, if you're a man in this country and you don't vote for Donald Trump, you're not a man, Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist, recently proclaimed. I mean, I don't like the language of saying you're not a man, but at least it's a man saying it. So I won't step into what a man says to another man. But I can see the argument for that. I really can. And not just that it's about Trump, it's not, but it's about aligning with the left. Just really doesn't make sense with, all the things that come with being a man. Structure, right is right and wrong is wrong. Men are men and women are women. Order and those sorts of things. The real-world consequences of this were arguably evident this week as Donald Trump shocked the world to win. Shocked the world. Yeah, Kamala was right there. She was so popular. Everybody I know just couldn't stop talking about her. Come on. It was totally astroturfed. It was not true. But anyway, he shocked the world. To win the U.S. presidential election, some 54% of men cast their ballot for the Republican. But perhaps one of the starkest demographical differences was between young men and women. Just under half, 49% of the former aged 18 to 29 voted for Trump compared to 37% of the latter. The Republican ticket was built on various issues, but continuing support to the fetus bans and the rollback of nationwide reproductive rights was one of the campaign's battlegrounds. Yes, because here's what I think is happening with the younger generation, why it's splitting and women are becoming more leftist and men are becoming more conservative. I actually think the women have pushed the men to the right because they've seen the rebellion and the I'm a girl boss and I don't need you and all that stuff and all the degrading of masculinity. And they're like, I don't like any of that. So they look where they do like. And, it's not leftist. The Republican ticket was built on various issues. Oh, I already said that. Sorry. In the wake of the election, some women online drew links between male loneliness and the results. And they were very, very, very angry. Quote, so I think it's less of a male loneliness epidemic and more of a young men becoming, those Germans we fought in the 40s. Had a concerningly high rate epidemic. Really? Really? Do you really think that the young men are becoming Schnazis? Delusion. Absolute delusion. They would be shocked if they actually did meet a Schnazi. Okay. Wow. Quote, I hope the male loneliness epidemic eats you MAGA scum alive, posted another. Well, that's charming. But these social media users failed to see what these social media users failed to see is that the culture of male loneliness instilled from infancy, because the mothers aren't there, in the warped way we socialize boys, may have been the very thing that led them down a rabbit hole of right-wing populism. Isn't that funny? We were talking about male loneliness, and now we're in politics, talking about Schnazis? Wow. They really want to make that connection, don't they? They really want to drive it home that you guys are just bad. Just bad. And dangerous. Is it really fair to unequivocally pour scorn on men for an outcome that society as a whole has created and been complicit in? No, it's not. And yeah, society, but hey, I don't know. I agree with what she said the Manosphere says. Yeah. I think some of the women are malfunctioning. And I think, when you have your family ripped apart, you're going to have a problem. And you're going to blame the person who ripped it apart. But, we have learned that, they file like 70% of the time, 90% if they have a college degree. But that's your fault because you're not a good husband, or you're boring, or you're this or you're that. So it all comes down to it's your fault. Every single thing in society they say is your fault. No wonder men are in crisis. It's abhorrent. Loneliness isn't just a male problem, but an everyone problem. Because, quote, harmful manifestations of masculinity and manhood don't just impact boys and men themselves, but also the women and girls and communities around them. See, we brought it all home to the headline. You're hurting the women. The best way to help women then may be to finally start helping boys by scrapping out. Okay, I would change that sentence. The best way to help boys is to help women be there to raise them. They fixed it for you. Anyway, I'll read theirs again. The best way to help women then may be to finally start helping boys by scrapping outdated and damaging notions of what it is to be a man and encouraging them to be emotionally open and foster deeper relationships. Yeah, like a woman. Men can do that their way, but you don't like it their way. And the mothers aren't there to have that first relationship. As Wenner Moyer puts it, quote, if we gave boys permission to connect, the world would be a better place. When boys feel connected, they become healthier, happier humans, which benefits everyone. Well, I think a 6-year-old can say that sentence. When people have people, they're better. Duh. But once again, it's your fault. It's all your fault. It's like they even say, even if society did it or this, that, or the other, you got to do it. Man up. Nowhere in here did the women do anything wrong. Nothing is that. There's no part of this that is about the woman except how much you're hurting them. I just imagine some of you who have been through that family court situation. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then you hear this. Or you've been deployed and you came back and your wife and kids were gone. And now, of course, you're lonely. And then you hear this, that you're hurting the women. The nerve that they have to say this. So more women need to speak out about these things. Yes, the dating stuff's important. Yes. We got to cover that. I get it. But there are even deeper issues going on. I think the dating difficulties are a symptom. They are not the main problem. You know what I mean? They're a symptom of the problem. And the problem has been with us for quite a long time. We are going through the 1958 book, The Decline of the American Male. It's illuminating how we got here and how bad it was then. You guys, if you're not seeing that series, you need to, because it is so bad what the men were even facing then and how they were feeling then. So we're going to go back even further after we finish that one. I'm so excited to share that one with you guys. I might let you guys know on the Discord what the next book will be. Won't believe what we found. So excited. So Yeah, I'll share that on the Discord. I will share the link to the Discord in the description of this video. Please come over. It's free. There's guys in there. You can chat in there any time of the day. I pop in when I can, and it's just a good community to have. And I'm so thankful to Rob Cat for setting it up, DA Davis for helping to moderate it. Oh, DA Davis, you are just such a great supporter. I am endlessly grateful to you. You inspire me when I make these videos. So I just really appreciate all your all's support. You know, there's Rojas, John Mitchell, Snowy Owls, Ken Lawson, Brian Bard, all you guys. I'm trying to remember people from the chat, and you guys know if I forget, do not take it personally if I've forgotten your name, because there's Garrett. Oh my gosh, Garrett. Garrett is awesome. So we just have to remember all these guys in the chat. They're fantastic. Yin Sound, it's another one. Oh, it's just great. It's great. We have our community in our chat with the premiere, and then we have the community on the Discord. And so I invite you to come on over and share in that, because yeah, the loneliness crisis is real. So I'm trying to help battle that. And it does not include shaming you or telling you that you're the problem and you need to man up. Because that just makes it worse. In the meantime, until I see you next time, remember to always protect your peace. Feed your souls. I love you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.